Hello everyone, this is Nawal Shah, Assistant Professor, Department of CSE, Engineering College Bikaner. We are continuing our network layer lectures, and in this regard, I will proceed to address mapping. Basically, there are two types of addresses are there. Three types of addresses are there, but we will discuss only two addresses in this particular topic. First one is physical address, and the next one is IP address or logical address. Basically, an internet is made up of a combination of physical networks which are connected by inter-networking devices such as routers. A packet starting from a source host may pass through several different physical networks before it finally reach to destination. The host and routers are basically are in the network, and they are recognized by a logical address, or you can say it is IP address. However, packets pass through physical networks also. So at the physical level, the host and routers are recognized by their physical addresses. A physical address is nothing but it's a local address. It must be unique locally, but it is not necessarily unique universally. It is called as a physical address because it is implemented in hardware. So if you take an example of physical address, then you can say a 48-bit MAC address is a physical address, and which is imprinted on NIC, which is installed on your host or router or any computer. The physical address and logical address are two different identities. So in network communication, we need both, because physical network such as Ethernet can have two different protocols in the network layer such as IP and IPX. Okay, likewise a packet at the network layer may have different protocol like IP, IPv4. So this means the delivery of a packet to a host or a router requires two level of addressing, logical and physical. So we need to be able to map a logical address to its corresponding physical address, and vice versa. These can be done using either static or dynamic mapping. Static mapping basically involves in the criteria of a table that is associated a logical address with the physical address, and this table is stored in each machine on the network, and each machine that knows the IP address of another machine but not its physical address can look up into the table. And but this has some limitation because it is static, and physical addresses may change. So some disadvantages or some limitations are here. The first one is the machine could change its NIC, which resulting in a new physical address. In some lanes such as local talk, the physical address change every time the computer is turned on. A mobile computer can move from one physical network to another, which result in a change in its physical address. So to implement these changes, a static mapping table must be updated periodically, and this overhead could affect network performance. So in dynamic mapping, each time a machine knows one of the two addresses, logical or physical, so it can be a protocol to find the other one. So it should be implemented like, if I know the physical address at a particular time, then I can easily know the logical address. So we have a protocol, so we have to convert logical address to physical address, and again physical address to logical address. So for these two things we have some protocols designed. So first one is your ARP, that is address resolution protocol. Anytime a host or a router has an IP datagram to send to another host, so it has a logical address of the receiver. Logical means IP address. So IP address is obtained from the DNS. DNS is an application layer protocol. We will discuss it later. So if the sender is the host, or it is found in a routing table if the sender is the router. Okay, but the IP datagram must be encapsulated in a frame to be able to pass through the physical network. This means that the sender needs the physical address of the receiver. So the host, or you can say the router, sends an ARP query packet. Okay, so this packet includes the physical and the IP addresses of the sender and the IP address of the receiver, and what it wants in return is the physical address of the receiver. Because the sender does not know the physical address, so this query is broadcasted over the network. Okay, broadcast means we have already seen it will send to all the routers or all the hosts. Every host or a router on a network receives and processes this ARP query packet, but only the intended recipient recognizes its IP address and send back an ARP response packet. And this response packet contains the recipient's IP and physical address. And the packet is again unicast. The packet is unicast directly to the inquirer by using the physical address received in the query packet, or you can say the source address. So uh, this is the figure for ARP. So let's suppose system A has a packet that needs to be delivered to system B, and the IP address is 141.23.56.23. System A needs to pass the packet to its data link layer for the actual delivery, but it does not know the physical address. So it uses the services of ARP by asking the ARP protocol to send a broadcast ARP request to ask the physical address. So the packet is received by every system on the physical network, but only system B, which is whose address is in the ARP packet, will answer it. And system B sends an ARP reply packet that includes its physical address. Now system A can send all the packets it has for the destination, that is B, by using the physical address it has received. Okay, so this is the working of ARP. Okay, next one more thing is there. The concept of cache memory is there. See, if A wants to communicate to B, so A has taken the physical address already. So if next time, let's suppose again A wants to communicate to B, then again A has to broadcast the packet. So what we can do is, we can if every time A broadcasts the packet, then the broadcasting will be done and the bandwidth of the network will be consumed. So instead of sending the ARP request every time, what we do is we can store the physical address of B in cache memory, and whenever in the cache memory of A, and whenever if it so in the cache memory we can store the physical address of B. So again, if that system and we can keep it for 20 to 30 minutes, okay, unless the space in the cache is exhausted. And before sending an ARP request, the system first check its cache to see if it can find the mapping. So if next time if any station wants the physical address of B, then it can be directly assigned from the cache memory. There is no need to send the request to all the source, all the hopes, and then waiting for the reply. Okay, so this concept we can use. Okay, next we will see the ARP packet. So it is 32-bit addresses are there. So first is hardware type, then protocol type, hardware length, protocol length, operation, sender hardware address, sender protocol address, target hardware address, target protocol address. So first of all, we will see what is hardware type. See, hardware type is a 16-bit field which defining the type of the network on which ARP is running. Each LAN has been assigned an integer based on its type. So, for example, Ethernet is a type of is a type 1. ARP can be used on any physical network. Next, we have protocol type. This is a 16-bit field within the protocol. For example, the value of this field for the IPv4 is 0800. ARP can be used with any higher level protocol. Next, we have hardware length. This is an 8-bit field defining the length of the physical address in bytes. For example, for Ethernet, the value is 6. Protocol length. This is an 8-bit field defining the length of the logical address in bytes. For IPv4, it is 4. Next, we have operation. This is a 16-bit field defining the type of a packet. Two package types are defined, ARP request and another one is ARP reply. So one for ARP request and two for ARP reply. Next we have sender hardware address. This is a variable length field defining the physical address of the sender. For example, for Ethernet it is 6 bytes long. Sender protocol address, this is a variable length field defining the logical address of the sender. For the IP protocol, the field is 4 byte long. Okay. And next we have target hardware address. It is this variable length field defining the physical address of the target. For example, for Ethernet, this field is 6 byte long, and for ARP request message, the field is all zeros because the sender does not know the physical address. Okay, next we have target protocol address. This is also a variable length field defining the logical address of the target. For the IPv4 protocol, this field is 4 bytes long. Okay, next we will see the encapsulation of ARP packet. An ARP packet is encapsulated directly into a data link frame. Uh, the type field indicates the data carried by the frame of an ARP packet. So this is the encapsulated packet of ARP. Okay, next we will see operations on operation of ARP, how it works. The sender, first of all, the sender knows the IP address of the target, so it will directly see how the sender obtains this shortly. Okay. Next we have next IP address ask ARP to create an ARP request message, filling in the sender's physical address, the sender's IP address, and the target IP address. One thing is not, which is physical address of the receiver. The target physical address field, so initially it is filled with zeros. The message is again passed to a data link layer where it is encapsulated in a frame by using the physical address of the sender as the source address and the physical broadcast address as the destination address. Then every host or a router receives the frame. Because the frame contains the broadcast destination address, so all station removes the message and passes it to ARP. All machines except the one targeted drop the packet, and the target machine recognizes its IP address. Then the target machine replies with an ARP reply message that contains its physical address, and the message is unicast. This message will be unicast because this has to be transferred only to the sender. The sender receives the reply message. It now knows the physical address of the target machine. The IP datagram, which carries data for the target machine, is now encapsulated in a frame and is unicasted to the destination. So basically we have 4 cases using ARP. Okay. First one is the sender is a host and wants to send a packet to another host on the same network. So in this case, the logical address that must be mapped to a physical address is the destination IP address in the datagram header. Okay, in the second one, the sender is a host and wants to send a packet to another host on another network. So in this case, the host looks at the routing table and finds the IP address of the next hop for the destination. If it does not have a routing table, then it looks for the IP address of the default router. Default routers are present in the network. The IP address of the router becomes the logical address, and that must be mapped to the physical address. Okay, next, in third one, the sender is a router that has received a datagram destined for a host on another network. Then it will check its routing table and finds the IP address of the next router. The IP address of the next router becomes the logical address that must be mapped to a physical address. In the fourth case, the sender is a router that has received a datagram destined for a host on the same network, and the destination IP address of the datagram becomes the logical address that must be mapped to a physical address. Okay, one more thing is there. We right now we have converted IP address to physical address. Now we also need to convert physical address to logical address. So 3 protocols are there: RARP, BOOTP, and DHCP. RARP is nothing but reverse ARP, reverse address resolution protocol. We will only study RARP here. There are occasions in which a host knows its physical address but needs to know the logical address. So let's suppose a diskless station is just booted, and the station can find its physical address by checking its interface, but it does not know the IP address. An organization does not have enough IP addresses to assign to each station. It needs to assign IP addresses on demand, that means dynamically. The station can send its physical address, and then it can also ask for the IP address. Okay, RARP, it finds the logical address for a machine that knows its physical address. The IP address of a machine is usually read from its configuration file stored on a disk file. However, a diskless machine is usually booted from ROM, which has minimum booting information. The ROM is installed by the manufacturer. It cannot include the IP address because the IP addresses on a network are assigned by the network administrator. The machine can get its physical address, which is a unique. Physical address is it's on NIC, which is unique locally. It can then use the physical address to get the logical address by using the RARP protocol. An RARP request is created and broadcasted on the local network. Another machine on the local network that knows all the IP addresses will respond with the RARP reply. The requesting machine must be running on a RARP client program, and the responding machine must be running on a RARP server program. It means there is a server which is which is responsible to generate the IP addresses for all the clients to which it is connected. So client will request to its physical address, and then a corresponding logical address will be assigned at that time. It will be assigned to the client. It will be given. Okay, thank you so much.